We have a massive update. The Knicks have been experimenting with the double big lineup featuring Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson. And during certain situations, they've looked phenomenal. However, during last night's game, we saw a glaring issue with that lineup that must be addressed. Josh Hart also called out the Knicks for their lack of playmaking. We're going to break down all of these latest reports today. But before we get started, about 52% of you watching this video right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button because it could really support all of the great content that we're creating for you. And now, let's get started. The Knicks confirmed the weakness with the double big lineup. When New York began experimenting with this double big lineup with Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson, I think we all knew that it wasn't going to work right away. But we knew it had the possibility to be outstanding. Karl-Anthony Towns, how he looks on offense. Mitchell Robinson, how he looks on defense. You would think if you put them both together, you would get the best of both worlds. And one area that you would never think that would be an issue with these two 7-footers sharing the floor together would be rebounding. But according to Mitchell Robinson, after the game last night when he was speaking to the media, he confirmed that the biggest weakness with this duo is their rebounding. Shout out to Steph Bondy with the New York Post for giving us the following information. According to him, Tom Thibodeau said that Mitchell Robinson is currently operating with a guideline of about 24 minutes, and that will probably increase some at some point in time as we get through more games. In San Antonio last night, Robinson logged 17 minutes with 13 rebounds and 11 boards, his first double-double of the season, including a heavier dose alongside Karl-Anthony Towns in a two towers alignment. But the Knicks were out-rebounded overall, 52-44. According to Mitchell Robinson, it's something we got to work on. We, meaning Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson together. Obviously, rebounding is a big part of the game, so we didn't rebound that well, and the shots didn't go in. We just got to fix that. Tom Thibodeau also spoke about the rebounding and how bad it was last night as well, too. According to Thibodeau, the rebounding was a big concern, particularly when they started the game small, and I thought our reaction to the ball wasn't great. And they're athletic and quick, and we got to make sure we're putting a body on them. And again, I felt like we were behind all night. It's better to initiate contact rather than to react to it. That's a great line from Tom Thibodeau, and I absolutely agree with him. If you watched the game last night, the rebounding last night was very bad. New York's positioning in general, while both Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns were on the floor together, was not great. And they were still getting taken advantage of inside the paint, thanks to smart screens, cuts, and pick and rolls from San Antonio. We've seen where the defense can get better with this unit on the floor. But clearly, there is still some work to be done with Mitchell Robinson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and this double big lineup. And for me, what New York needs to do over the next couple of games that they have left for the season is work on the chemistry between these two. Work on the glaring issue, which is the rebounding, but also the positioning. One of the other issues with this lineup is their pace, but also Mitchell Robinson feels too comfortable going out to that three-point line and trying to defend shooters. And when that happens, it leaves the Knicks vulnerable to the exact same issue they had to deal with before when Mitchell Robinson wasn't available. Karl-Anthony Towns inside. Towns inside puts no fear in any penetrator. If anything, it makes them want to attack more. And when they attack, they either get the bucket, get a free throw, or find somebody cutting back door. Find an open shooter in the corner. And they're always converting. Last night, another no-name player scores a career high on us. And by the way, it's an NBA record what he did. Sandro Mamu, which is what I'm going to call him, because there is no way that I'm even going to try to pronounce that man's last name. It is too long and just too difficult. But either way, this no-name player sets an NBA record for scoring the most points in under 20 minutes in a regular NBA season game. And it happens, of course, against the Knicks. A no-name player scores a career high and sets an NBA record on the Knicks. It just seems that time and time again, these things continue to happen to this Knicks team. We need to develop chemistry, and we need to develop it fast. Rebounding wasn't the only issue the Knicks had last night, by the way. They had another issue, an issue that Josh Hart thinks is a major problem and something he's calling for the Knicks to correct and address immediately. It's the way that they're generating shots and the ease that they're generating shots at. And the easiest way to get better at that is to play make for your team and pass the ball more. And that's exactly what Josh Hart is saying here and what he's calling out the Knicks for. Shout out to Steph Bondy with the New York Post for giving us the following information. According to him, Josh Hart, who took just 4 shots in 35 minutes against the Spurs, again, implored for more teamwork. According to Hart, I think it's a combination of the ball not falling, but also we have to make it easier for each other. We have to play make for each other and put ourselves in situations where we can be successful. You knew that was going to be the struggle without Jalen Brunson, but we have to make the game easier for each other. And I feel like we didn't do that today. Without JB in the game, New York cannot get stagnant or go heavy isolation one-on-one. That won't help anything. Towns going off for a solo run of 15 points or 9 points. It's great to watch until it stops and nothing is going on for anybody else. Each and every single thing that we do seems to take an extra effort. It's like we struggle just a little bit just to even get certain things done. And when you're missing Jalen Brunson, that cannot happen as a team. Without JB, our defense has been better. But last night, that was certainly not the case. In that first half, it was probably the worst first half without JB that we've seen as a team. We were down 28 points to a Spurs team that did not have Wemby and did not have De'Aaron Fox. I don't even know how that's possible or how that happens. Yes, we were down Jalen Brunson, but they were down a number of stars, but they still found a way to win. And the number one way they did that is by attacking and always trying to find the open man, trying to get to the free throw line, but more importantly, running, transition, and hurting New York in transition each and every time. New York's transition defense, besides their rebounding and their playmaking, was exposed last night. You want to know the secret of how to beat the Knicks? How to make them stay on their toes and how to keep them off balance? Just run. Attack as much as you can. The Knicks miss, run. You get a rebound and it's a long rebound, run. You get a steal, run. Deflection, run. You understand the theme here? Run against New York and you're likely going to win or good things will happen because their scramble defense is probably one of the worst in the league. And then you pair that with their bench, also one of the worst in the league. So you're not getting offense when you need it. Shots are not falling. And your defense, which should be good, should be better without Jalen Brunson, not only didn't show up, but it looks even worse in certain situations. Tom Thibodeau needs to make adjustments, and these adjustments need to happen fast. Now, some of these things, we just have to wait for time to pass. What I'm talking about is Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns. They are weak right now with rebounding. Will that continue forever? I don't think so. Towns by himself, great rebounder. Mitchell Robinson by himself, great rebounder. Putting them together should give you great rebounding. It hasn't happened yet, but I think as they continue to build that chemistry, build that trust, it will start to happen. One of the main ways it can happen even better for New York is if Karl-Anthony Towns is not the player holding down the paint. Honestly, when the double big lineup is out there, Karl-Anthony Towns should be at the three-point line trying to guard those shooters. Now, even if he gets blown by, what happens is we have Mitchell Robinson behind him holding down the paint. That works better for us. What happens if Mitchell Robinson gets blown by? Who's behind him then? Karl-Anthony Towns. And for an opposing player, a penetrator, you want that matchup. You're looking for that matchup. That's why you take Mitchell Robinson off the dribble. But if you do that with Karl-Anthony Towns, you don't necessarily get that same advantage because Mitchell Robinson is waiting in the paint for you. That's primarily one of the main changes I want to see on defense with those two out there. Because if you make that change, then Mitchell Robinson is in better position to try to get that rebound for New York, and New York can try to push that ball up fast to try to score in transition. But it's clear New York is trying to work on all of these issues. Unfortunately, you're going to have some nights like last night that it doesn't look right and things don't go to plan. But then you'll have other nights where we're blowing teams off the floor and we look phenomenal. Unfortunately, right now, we have to take the good with a little bit of the bad. And the bad right now, the glaring issue right now, is the rebounding with those two big men on the floor together. And that should not be an issue. The Knicks and Tom Thibodeau must address this situation immediately and shut it down. 2 7-footers on the floor together should not cause you to be out-rebounded by a Spurs team that does not have one of the best big men in the game, and Victor Wembanyama on their roster. That's what happened last night, and New York must prevent it from ever happening again. But what about you guys? What do you think about Mitchell Robinson confirming that the biggest weakness with this double big lineup at this point in time is their rebounding? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.